a 2-week span. Bogarts to left center field. That ball is blistered by Xander Bogaerts. One hop off the ivy. Forget moving the guy up on a routine grounder. Bogaerts scores Merrill on a double and takes third on the wayward throw. San Diego strikes first in the wild card, and Xander Bogaerts, back from a fractured foot.
A not so good afternoon to everyone who is already logged on and waiting for this live post-game show. My name is John Gennaro. Darren Smith will, I think, be around at some point. He is texting me now. He said he'll be here in about 10 minutes. His refrigerator repair guy that he's been waiting on for weeks has finally showed up right when this game was ending. So he'll join me in a little bit. I'm going to spend the meantime looking at your comments in the chat and ranting and raving a little bit about a 3-1 loss in Game 1. Padres go down to the Cubs, and this one sucks. This one sucks for a lot of reasons, and we're going to get into pretty much all of them, but the main reason that I walk out of this game really frustrated is because the Padres in the playoffs looked like the Padres in the regular season. They looked like a team that had a ton of talent, a ton of potential, and just could not put it together. Fernando Tatis Jr. was especially bad. Like, I'm going to come back to him because we need to talk about him. But let's just look at the lineup. Fernando Tatis Jr. went 0 for 4 with a strikeout. Luis Arraez went 0 for 4 with a strikeout. Man, the announcers were really impressed when Luis Arraez struck out. Manny Machado went 0 for 3 with a strikeout and a walk. Jackson Merrill and Xander Bogaerts, they did okay. They did okay in the middle of the lineup. So we'll just skip right past them. Ryan O'Hearn, 0 for 3. Gavin Sheets, 0 for 3. Jake Cronenworth, 0 for 3 with a strikeout. That is 2/3 of your lineup I just pointed out. The number 1, 2, 3 hitter, the number 6, 7, and 8 hitter, that is 6 out of your 9 hitters in your lineup went hitless. And of those hitters, there was also 4 strikeouts. I understand, like, I'm not the least bit surprised to hear Mike Shiltz in the postgame credit the Cubs pitching and say, man, that Cubs pitching was really good. And I'm not going to say it's not. There was definitely moments of this game where I thought the Cubs pitching is pretty good. I thought Matthew Boyd was pretty good. I thought Daniel Palencia was awesome. Honestly, like, changed the tone of the game when he came in and just started mowing people down. Drew Pomerantz, I mean, he threw 11 pitches. I blinked and I missed him. He got through an inning in 11 pitches. Kittredge, 14 pitches. Keller, 13 pitches. Like, none of these guys had to work very hard. None of them had to work very hard. If I'm trying to remember, like, difficult at-bats where the Padres hitters actually made the pitcher work, I can remember, I think, 2. One of them, I believe, ended up in the Manny walk. And then one of them was the final at-bat of the game. Xander Bogaerts fought like hell. Outside of that, there was not a lot of difficult at-bats for Cubs pitchers. And we should probably do a little bit of a game recap before I get into my critical nature. We should go into a game recap. Nick Pivetta. Start with Nick Pivetta, the unlikely Game 1 starter. I spent all day thinking about when the Padres signed Nick Pivetta, and everyone was like, man, that is a great number 3 pitcher. That's a great number 3 pitcher to have behind Dylan Cease and Michael King, and who knows what we're going to get from Yu Darvish. And he has been the ace of this staff all season long. And honestly, I think he pitched like an ace today. I know he gave up back-to-back jacks in the 5th inning. I think his energy was just starting to wear out. It did look like it was pretty hot. It did look like it was quite humid. Pivetta Pivetta normally sweats through his uniform, but he was not the only one doing it today. I thought Xander Bogaerts had a very sweaty uniform. And Nick Pivetta, through 4 innings, I believe, had given up one very weak single that would have gone right to the second baseman if the second baseman was not playing Nico Horner, I want to say, to pull the ball. So kind of a whatever. He was awesome. He was awesome. Nick Pivetta was awesome for 4 innings. 5th inning, ran out of gas. He gives up a home run to Seiya Suzuki that, honestly, I was surprised that made it over the fence, because the Padres had 3, I want to say, hits that looked like they should have been home runs that got knocked down by the wind. And the Suzuki one just kept going. It was a line drive that just kept going. Next thing you know, it's in the crowd. And it was like, wow, they finally got one to break through the wind somehow. And then the next at bat, Carson Kelly just hits one to Milwaukee, just to the moon and far. I didn't see if that cleared its way out of Wrigley Field, but I would not be surprised if it did clear its way out of Wrigley Field. But Nick Pivetta was good. The problem with that, with Nick Pivetta being maybe your best player in Game 1, is Nick Pivetta will not be available for Game 2 or Game 3. And you need to win both if you don't want your season to end this week. Hold on. This guy here saying giving up back-to-back home runs is unacceptable. The practicing guitarist. Unacceptable. It's the playoffs. The Cubs hit more home runs than almost any team in baseball, and he held them to one weak little single through the first 4 innings. And look, their pitcher, Matthew Boyd, he gave up a run in the second inning when Jackson Merrill and Xander Bogaerts led off the second inning with back-to-back doubles. That's essentially what he did. That's all he did. And he, in the 5th inning, got pulled. He was kind of cruising, but that's what you do in the playoffs. Your starting pitcher does not go 6 or 7 innings. He goes 4 or 5. And, should Mike Shildt have pulled Pivetta earlier? Probably not. There was no signs that he was wearing down until he was wearing down. So I don't think I am going to sit here and judge Nick Pivetta and be like, that's unacceptable to give up back-to-back home runs. I think it was a yeoman's effort. I think Nick Pivetta was very good, and I think it would be hard for any other pitcher on the San Diego Padres to do what Nick Pivetta did today. And so I applaud Nick Pivetta, and I think he did a good job. Same guys in here saying winners finish the job. Screw you. Nick Pivetta didn't lose this game. This game was lost by the fact that the Padres cannot score runs. It's been the same shit all year long. This team can't score runs. And we talked about it with Jared Diamond last week. And Jared Diamond said, in the playoffs, half the runs are scored via home run. Guess how many runs there were in the game today? 4. Guess how many of them were scored via home run? 2. Guess how many home runs the Padres hit? 0. So Nick Pivetta was great. Nick Pivetta was great. Argue with me if you want. Nick Pivetta was great. I thought Jackson Merrill was good today, both in the field and at the plate. I thought Xander Bogaerts was good today at the plate. He didn't really get tested in the field. He had that one ball go past him, but it wasn't really his fault. He had that one infield single that he beat out, which leads me to this. I need to find the inning that happened, because Mike Shildt was just commenting on it in his post-game press conference. And if I find, here it is. It's the 4th inning. 4th inning, Manny Machado walks to lead off the inning. Jackson Merrill, your cleanup hitter, by the way, puts down a sacrifice bunt. It's fine. It's fine. Padres are up 1-0. They feel like 2-0 with their bullpen. It's going to be good enough. So get a guy in scoring position with only 1 out. You get two really good shots. Bogaerts gets a shot. O'Hearn gets a shot. One of them's going to hit him home, right? Bogaerts comes up and ends up beating out an infield single. And now you got first and third, one out. Still didn't agree with the decision to let Jackson Merrill bunt or call Jackson Merrill bunt. I think Schilt was quoted in the post-game press conference as saying that was Jackson's decision. Fine. Ryan O'Hearn hits a little pop fly to center field, and Dansby Swanson made two phenomenal defensive plays in this game. I feel like every single time the Padres play the Cubs, which is also the only time I ever watched the Cubs, Dansby Swanson makes at least two outstanding defensive plays. And he did so again today. And this one was especially painful because of the situation. Men on first and third, one out. You should score in that situation. O'Hearn hits a little pop fly to center. Swanson runs back, catches it. Now there's two outs. Gavin Sheets flies out to center field. I think that was another one of those ones that looked like it was going out. Actually, I remember that one specifically because when he hit it, I yelled because I thought it was going out. And it did not. It was caught in center field. Rally was over. So Mike Schilt called that the play of the game for Dansby Swanson. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. Jackson Merrill sack bunting to get a guy in scoring position. Was it the right call? Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. There's a lot of gray area here. But what is undeniable is that the Cubs, like the Padres, did not have their best starter on the mound. And they still just dominated the Padres lineup. I mean, those Fernando Tatis at bats, the first, I think it was 3 of them, where he was just like ground ball off the first pitch, ground ball off the first pitch. And then he stands in there, and I think his last at bat, and he gets struck out looking. And I know he was mad at the ump, but it's bad. It was bad. Yeah. To this guy who's saying, you know, Nick Pivetta shoved, and this one is absolutely on the offense. Jackson Merrill and Xander Bogaerts were good offensively tonight. Freddie Fermin was fine. Everyone else was variations of awful. And when you look at the Cubs, you look at their lineup, their leadoff hitter, 1 for 3 with a walk. Their number 2 hitter, 2 for 3 with an RBI. And their number 3 hitter went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Their number 4 hitter, Kyle Tucker, who's hurt, went 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Seiya Suzuki, 1 for 3 with a home run. Carson Kelly, 1 for 3 with a home run. Dansby Swanson, 1 for 3 with a sacrifice fly RBI. I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hitters in their lineup that had hits. 3 different hitters in their lineup that had RBIs. 2 different hitters in their lineup that had home runs. At the end of the day, I know it sounds stupid, but I say it all the time because it is stupid. And it's simple. You can't win games if you don't score runs. And the Padres scored 1 run. 1. I did this stupid thing after the game. A legitimately stupid thing. I looked at, I've been thinking a lot about run differential as a thing that puts teams in different tiers. The teams with the greatest run differential are usually the best teams in the league, right? Because they're winning games all the time, and oftentimes they're winning by more than 1 run. So I looked at team payroll and run differential and tried to figure out the teams that have a positive run differential, who's paying the most, not just for the runs they score, but for the run differential, because that'll factor in also defense and pitching and all of that. If run differential is a thing that gives you a quality of a team over the course of a season, a regular season, which team is getting the most quality for their money, the most bang for their buck? Pretty obviously, number one was Milwaukee Brewers. They are paying less than $1 million per positive run differential. Per positive run. Yeah, sure. The Cubs are number two. They pay this season $1.4 million per positive run. Means for every run they score that they do not allow their opponent to take back over the course of the season, it costs them $1.4 million. Next is the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Phillies, the Mariners, the Tigers, the Dodgers. Is that a surprising list to any of you? Those are the best teams in baseball. The Dodgers, hilariously, come down to $2.4 million per positive run, and the Padres are 2.6. The difference is the Dodgers spend almost twice as much as the Padres. So, I don't know, man. Maybe it's a roster construction thing. Maybe Dylan Cease shoves tomorrow. Maybe Dylan Cease gives you, 3 great innings tomorrow. And then Michael King comes in and he gives you 3 great innings. And then you go to the bullpen and you get 3 great innings. Maybe you win a little 1-0, 2-1 game against the Cubs. And we go into a winner go home. Sudden death game 3. That'd be great. But this version of the Padres has not given me confidence. And I think the reason for that is it feels like they beat the bad teams, not the good teams. And when they do beat the good teams, it's almost never because they proved themselves to be the better team. It is almost always because they manufactured runs and grinded one out. And when you reach the point that the team payroll is $216 million and we come from the days of a $40 million payroll, I think you want to stop winning games like that. And I think you want to start winning games with whoa, watch out for that team. That's a lot of talent. It's a lot of talent. And there is a lot of talent on the San Diego Padres. But the offense is just not good enough. And the starting pitching has just been too hurt/inconsistent. And now you're in this situation where your season rests on the shoulders of Dylan Cease, who's been bad all year, who you haven't trusted literally all year. That is called praying for a miracle. And that's frustrating. It's frustrating to find themselves in this position. And it is especially frustrating to find themselves in this position when Nick Pivetta pitches as well as he did. Because the Cubs are obviously a good team. They're probably going to rough up Dylan Cease either way. It would have been nice if I didn't have to worry about that as much as I do. Okay, this guy in the comments is now he's no media member in this town has any guts to call out Machado. That's not true. We've been talking about Machado for months. And he says it's the tattoos and his penchant for downing long neck buds. I also have tattoos and a penchant for drinking alcohol. No one's afraid of me. No one's afraid of Manny. The issue with this team remains unchanged. It remains the same issue it's been all year long. And I think we hoped that Tatis, who had gotten hot at the end of the year, coming back from COVID, wow, maybe Tatis found the guy he was in the first month or two of the season. And didn't look like it today. And then Luis Arraez, been absolutely on fire for weeks. Didn't look like it today. And Manny Machado was given rest so that he could be the best version of himself today. Didn't look great. And if I'm being honest, This is the thing to be critical of with the Padres. Tatis and Machado, and to a lesser extent, Bogaerts. These three guys are supposed to be the three guys that punish opposing left-handed pitchers. You should not want to throw your left-handed pitchers against any of those guys in the lineup. You shouldn't want a left-handed starter facing this lineup because you should be afraid that Tatis and Machado and Bogaerts are going to beat up on them. And they don't. They didn't really last year. They didn't do it this year. Obviously, 2023 is its own thing. But they really struggle against left-handed pitching. I think that's one of the reasons Drew Pomeranz pitched today. I think it's one of the reasons Matthew Boyd started game one. But, I'm not going to sit here and blame, O'Hearn and Sheets and Cronenworth. Wow, 3 lefties in a row. I just realized that. What the hell is Schilt doing? Whatever. I'm not gonna hold that against them as much because they're left-handed. And Bogaerts went 2 for 4 with an RBI. That's fine. But Machado just getting run over by Daniel Palencia, I know that's not a lefty. Machado did not look very good against Boyd. And then when he faced Daniel Palencia, and Daniel Palencia was just 100-mile-an-hour fastball, 100-mile-an-hour fastball, 101, 102, 101, 100-mile-an-hour fastball. And then it got to the point where it was like, oh, Machado's got him timed up. And then he hit him with I don't know whether it was slider, curveball, changeup. It's either changeup or slider. And obviously Machado was looking 100-mile-an-hour fastball, completely was thrown off, missed it, strike 3. He looked old. He looked old in that at-bat. Tatis looked fooled. Machado looked old. Arise just looked like he had a bad day. O'Hearn got a little unlucky with the Swanson thing. Sheets got a little unlucky because it looked like he should have hit a home run. It looked like he got all of that ball and it just didn't go out. But Tatis and Machado, I try not to make it about the contracts, but those guys, when Tatis got his contract, me and Craig Elson on Padres Hot Tub, we called it a statue contract. That's the type of contract you give to a guy expecting by the end of it, you're going to build him a statue at Petco Park to go along with Tony Gwynn and Trevor Hoffman. And I think the idea is still maybe that one day there will be a Manny Machado statue at Petco Park, and one day there'll be a Fernando Tatis Jr. statue at Petco Park. But you know what? I'm starting to get a lot less confident about it. I'm starting to get a lot less confident that those things are going to happen. So, and it's not entirely their fault. I would have a lot more confidence about this team winning the game tomorrow and winning the game on Thursday if I had hope in Dylan Cease. And that's not Tatis' fault, and that's not Machado's fault, but they got to know Dylan Cease is going tomorrow, and they got to know Dylan Cease has been rocky, and they have to play their best today. They had to play their best baseball today. And for a lot of the Cubs, they played their best baseball today. And the Padres scored 1 run, which I can't tell you the last time I saw a playoff game where a team got blanked. So 1 run, usually not going to be enough. Greg brings up an interesting point. Greg says, the last week of the regular season got me in the, quote, keep the faith zone, unquote, but we didn't see the same team today. I was wondering about this also earlier today. I was listening to the aforementioned Padres Hot Tub, and they were talking about how great it was that the Padres clinched their spot in the playoffs, got to the point where they knew that they were not going to get home playoff games. They knew they were going to Chicago to take on the Cubs, and they still came out and dominated the Diamondbacks. And wow, if they can do that when there's not a lot left to play for, look out. And that Greg said, it's not the same team we saw today. I have been viewing that from the other side of the spectrum. which is, A, the Padres were obviously not tight because they didn't have anything to lose. I don't think they play well when the stakes are raised. I think that's why they've really struggled against the Dodgers when they've seen them most of this season. Or it got to a point where it's like, hey, you're in first place, just win a couple games. Oh, I don't think they play well when the stakes are raised. And I also think the Diamondbacks knew it was over. So I think that was not a, wow, the Padres played so good against the Diamondbacks, as much as it was, wow, these guys should play like this more often, carefree. And also the Diamondbacks, to me, I've been viewing those last few games of the regular season as like, that's what baseball looks like when it doesn't matter to one team or the other. Like you forget how much effort matters in this sport. It matters a lot more than you think it does. All right, I deserve this. This guy pointed out. I can tell you the last time I saw a team get blanked in the playoffs, games 4 and 5 of the NLDS in 2024. Yep, I remember that too. I guess that's the plus. Padres could have gotten 9 more scoreless innings. We would have heard all about it. But they scored in the second inning. Shout out Merrill and Xander. Seriously, back-to-back leadoff doubles. Like, Jackson leads off with a double. Xander hits a double. They got 1 run out of it. Ugh. Now, granted, that's, again, I was like, why does Schilt have 3 straight lefties in his lineup going against a lefty starting pitcher? Once Jackson and Xander hit those doubles, it was O'Hearn, Sheets, Cronenworth. Those are the next 3 guys in the lineup. Those guys didn't get on base. They didn't get a hit. I know O'Hearn's been better against lefties. I know Sheets is not terrible against lefties, but that feels like an instance where if Ramon Laureano was on this team and healthy, you would have gotten more than 1. And there was at least 1 instance in the outfield. Not sure I agreed with the TV commenters. If you guys want to comment on the TV commenters, the Section 1904 Discord was aflame with thoughts on the TV commenters. But the broadcasters or whatever, they said at one point that they thought there was a ball that dropped in front of Gavin Sheets that had Ramon Laureano been out there, he could have gotten to. I actually was wondering the same thing and came down on the other side of the equation, in that I was like, I don't think Laureano could have gotten to that. And then they were like, well, Laureano definitely would have gotten to that. Maybe they know more than me. It's entirely possible. But the 1 run in the second inning, getting a guy in scoring position with no outs and getting 1 run out of it, that might be the play of the game, to quote Mike Schilt about a different portion of the game. The Cubs, turning to the Cubs, I've been very focused on the Padres. The home crowd, you could tell they were a little freaked out in the beginning. Pivetta was really dominating them. They were a little freaked out when the Padres took the lead. When the Cubs scored 2 runs in the 5th on back-to-back home runs, the crowd took over. Like, I think that was also when Palencia came in the 5th and was throwing 100 miles an hour, and no one could touch him. 100 with movement, and no one could touch him. And then in the bottom half of the 5th, the 5th was really the big inning. The bottom half of the 5th, Suzuki and Kelly hit the bombs, and the crowd essentially took over from there. At that point, I was actually like wondering, should they bring in Mason Miller just to try and quiet the crowd down, calm them the hell down? And they went with Adrian Morejon. Adrian Morejon got in some trouble. He got out of it. Double play. Got a ground ball to Manny for a double play. It was fine. Mason Miller came in the next inning, struck out the side, as he does, allowing no hits, no walks. But by then, it was kind of lost. Jeremiah Estrada came in the 8th and got into some trouble that led to a kind of awkward sac fly for an insurance run, it's fine. I didn't realize Wandy Peralta got the last out. I missed that. I was writing the game recap. Oh, yeah, good point by this guy. When Palencia came in, the shadows were really weird all game, but it was around the fifth inning when the shadows really started messing with, they started getting in between the pitcher and the batter. The TV broadcasters, for as many complaints as I saw, I thought they did a good job of noticing, like, hey, the shadows are now directly between the pitcher and the batter, and showing those slow motion replays where the ball would be coming in. The cam is awesome, by the way. The ball would be coming in, you'd see it, it'd get halfway, and then it would just kind of disappear while the guy was starting his swing. That had to have been difficult, but Cubs found a way to score after that. I saw this stat. There's a guy I like on Twitter. I'm sure everyone follows him. Let's see. He's got 3,000 follows. His name is Clark Farenthold. He apparently writes for says sports reporter for the Colorado Eagle and Journal and the San Diego Union Tribune, covering the San Diego Padres minor league system for Mad Friars. This guy always has fantastic stats. He's on Twitter, X, whatever, but he always has great stats. Right when the game ended, I saw he posted this. The Padres' power/slugging number this season in the sixth inning or later. 59 home runs, 29th in Major League Baseball. 131 isolated power, 27th in Major League Baseball. 366 slugging percentage, tied for 26th in Major League Baseball. And then he said, attempting to score late inning runs with mainly singles, walks, small ball, especially in the postseason, is wildly impractical. And I noticed this a couple weeks ago, that the Padres' numbers against relief pitchers was like really bad. But I think that might be just a thing across baseball. Like, it's harder to get hits off relief pitchers. Those are the guys that are throwing 100 with crazy movement. They can only throw 20 of them a game before their arm snaps. But the Padres have a very, very specific way to win a game. It is get a lead early, get a good performance from the starting pitcher, and hope that the bullpen is lights out. There are parts of this season where that worked a lot. There are parts of the season, like the last couple months, where they always seem to fall behind early and it throws off the plans, or Dylan Cease is pitching, or Michael King is exploding, or Nestor Cortez is getting bombed, where it doesn't work. But it's a very specific way to win, and it's almost entirely because they don't trust their offense to come back late in games, or to score, a crooked number, to put it in baseball terms. They don't trust their offense to come out and put up 3, 4, 5 runs in an inning. They're always fighting to get one run. Not for the game, but you get a guy on first base with no outs, you get a leadoff single or a leadoff walk, they are immediately sack bunting. Because that improves the odds of getting one run, but lessens the odds of putting up a crooked number. And the Padres are really into getting that one run. And it actually didn't work out today when Jackson Merrill did the sack bunt. It didn't work at all. The only time they scored a run was just back-to-back doubles. Can't really make that happen. You just have to put good hitters in good positions and hope that they produce good results. But yeah, I don't know. I was listening to the again, aforementioned Padres hot tub this morning, and Craig Elston said before this game started that the Padres are kind of like Schrodinger's cat, that they're going to be defined by what happens in this postseason, but we don't know what's happening in the postseason yet. We still don't. It's only been one game. And if they came out and Tatis is hitting bombs and Machado's playing great, Hearn is crushing lefties, and the pitching is just lights out, then you go, I always knew this team could do that, right? Letters to AJ wrote a thing today about how they've And almost no point in this season have the Padres had all of their best players together in the same game. Still true because Ramon Laureano's not here. But so Craig was making the point that this team is going to be remembered in one way or another, probably, at least partially determined by what they do in the playoffs. And if they came out and they were awesome and they won this series and they won the next series, we were going to remember them for the team that put it all together in the playoffs. And now, looking down the barrel of a win or go home Dylan Cease start at Chicago, it feels like the likelihood of this team being remembered for anything other than playing a boring style of baseball because their, highly paid hitters just didn't hit, and because they have no power despite being a $216 million payroll. It seems like those are going to be the things that we remember about this team. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I know that that's a pessimistic thought to look ahead to like how we're going to remember this team after they lose this series. Like I know that some of you that are watching want me to do the rah-rah. Come on, Padres, win this one for Peter. But I can't be dishonest with you. It's a thing that I don't have the ability to do in front of a camera and a microphone, is just lie. And I look at this team and it just feels like something is wrong. And I don't know if it's behind the scenes stuff, clubhouse stuff, coaching stuff, player stuff. I don't know what is wrong with this team, but something feels wrong with this team. And today's loss to the Cubs felt like the entire season boiled down to one game where everyone was sitting here going, why aren't the Padres better than this? So that's where we are. Again, 3-game series, no games in San Diego. If the Padres lose tomorrow, the next time we will see them play will be in Peoria in February. If they win tomorrow, they get another game on Thursday. Question marks on, is that a Yu Darvish start? Is Michael King available? How healthy is the bullpen? Find all that out tomorrow. Hope we get there. I hope we get to enjoy that. I have a friend who's a Seattle Mariners fan who just loves baseball. And he loves the Padres too for various reasons. And every postseason when the Padres are in it, he's like, I'm rooting for you guys. And he sent me a text the other day saying, like, really hoping for a Mariners-Padres World Series. Apparently this is a thing that Jake Peavy predicted in public. And I was like, I can't see it with the Padres. I want to. I really do. I want to. But I can't right now. And he sent me a text today that said, let's hope you get to have anxiety for the next 2 days. And I think that's probably a good place to leave it. I hope that we all get to have anxiety for the next 2 days, because that would mean that the Padres win tomorrow. And once you get into a 1-game situation, anything can happen. Almost literally anything in the known universe can happen to throw that game off its rails and into crazy town. So really hoping for a better offensive performance tomorrow. Hoping for Dylan Cease redemption. That would be really fun. And I hope that I get to come back here tomorrow with a much happier look on my face, and that I get to look forward to the Thursday game. Greg here says, Cubs going opener with Kittredge just to show us it can be done in the postseason. I hadn't seen this. I don't know if this is official or not. Are the Cubs actually going with Kittredge for game 2? Let's see, game 2 Cubs. Let's see if I can find this out before we get out of here. Counsell did not announce his game 2 starter during his post-game press conference. Of course not. Why would he? It's not information he is forced to give away. So why would he? Last thing on here, just to sneak in a little bit of Mike Schilt criticism because this guy drives me nuts sometimes. Mike Schilt in his post-game press conference, I understand there was wins, Chicago, but Mike Schilt made reference to the conditions. I'm pretty sure he meant the wind because I'm pretty sure it's like a 75-degree day in Chicago, not raining or anything. And he said, some people will complain about the conditions, but not us. We're not going to complain about them. When you say that, you are complaining. When you say, we're not going to complain about this thing, you're complaining about it. And especially if you follow up with, some people would, but we won't. You just did. And I don't want to hear, I don't want to, stop it with the wind. Stop it. Both teams played in the same conditions, the same exact conditions. Your team's offensive approach was awful. It was awful. I mean, I didn't talk enough about that. I talked a lot about the results of the offense, that they just didn't get anything done, but the approach was awful. I guess I did talk about that. I said, like, there was 2 at-bats where they actually made the Cubs pitchers work, and outside of that, it was just easy for the Cubs pitchers the whole game. So we'll hope for better results tomorrow. We'll hope for a happier post-game show tomorrow. We'll hope for more baseball on Thursday and beyond. Until then, go Padres.